it is something with which both of us stand to benefit. So this morning, as I said, I had the honor to call on the President. I just heard our two colleagues who spoke referring to a trade turnover of $7.2 billion. President Sisi told me he doesn't think it's enough. So he urged us, saying, find ways of increasing it. And I know that is the thinking of my Prime Minister as well. Now, one obvious way of doing so is to really focus on the impediments that we may have to expanding business. See what are the market access issues that we both face. Look at the possibilities of investments which could either go, which has a production implication for third countries and other regions, or even buyback possibilities. As an example, and I again reflect my conversations today and yesterday with the government. This year is the first year after a gap, or perhaps the first year ever, that Egypt has bought wheat from India. Unfortunately for us, it also turned out to be a difficult year weather-wise for agriculture, and therefore, while there were some fairly substantial initial supplies, it was not something we could continue. But there is a lesson in it, because there is a lesson that for Egypt, sourcing from India is de-risking a food supply which was otherwise very, very dependent on very narrow geographies. Let me give you the converse example. One of the big challenges today facing the world is actually security of fertilizer supply. On paper, maybe there are no obstacles to fertilizer trade. In reality, there are challenges. And to the extent there are reliable supplies which can be accessed on a predictable basis, that is something which directly contributes to food security for a country like India. So I'm giving you these two examples as two areas which can be unlocked really and can really be promoted for mutual benefit. But let me shift to something else. We have all gone through the COVID experience. There's not a single country in the world which has not been profoundly affected. But what it has done everywhere in the world is it has heightened health awareness and health expectations. That after COVID, our people are not prepared in any country to accept that governments are unable to respond to their health challenges, which means today the investment which every government in the world has to make in health has increased. That means today that if you are looking at efficiency of vaccine production, at the affordability of pharmaceutical production, at the distribution of medical devices production, these are really, I think, demands out there in the market which may not have existed this strongly 2 or 3 years ago. Or I will pick up on an example which was referred to right now: green hydrogen. Now, I spoke about climate change as a seriously disruptive factor. If you look today at the kind of summer that Europe has gone through, at the kind of, we in India, and not just in India, in our whole region, in the Indian subcontinent, we are seeing floods on a scale, heat waves on a scale, we saw wind, cold on a scale which we have not experienced before. And which means that, the idea that climate events pose a danger is not good advice that we give to our grandchildren anymore. It is something which is happening. In fact, it has happened. And the urgency, and I say this particularly because Egypt has the responsibility of the COP27. I would say I was I was there at COP26. I was there at COP21 in Paris. I would say the urgency with which climate emergencies and events will be looked at is growing with each COP. And if you have to find sustainable solutions, the sustainable solutions are not going to come only out of conferences. Policies will come out of conferences. Ultimately, policies will have to be translated into business if they are to be sustainable. And the fact that well-reputed Indian companies are coming out to a destination like Egypt, assessing the possibilities here favorably. I think this says a lot. It says a lot about our companies. It says a lot about your credibility as a investment destination. So I really see today a world of possibilities out here. And it's a world of possibilities not just because of the anxieties and the de-risking strategies in the world. It is also a world of possibilities because we are economies with greater capabilities with each passing year. Today, Indian companies are executing projects across the world. They would not have done those kinds of projects in that kind of scale 10 years ago. So I would say, I go not just in our immediate region. Last month I was in Latin America. And I could see in Latin America, whether it was mining, whether it was power transmission, whether it was infrastructure building, whether it was actually oil prospecting. Our companies are present today even in far off destination. And in a globalized world, economies, the efficiencies of logistics have actually become so high that distances have actually shrunk. That the distance to execute a project, the distance to source resources and goods from faraway places, that has also is something which has changed. So I would suggest to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, that look at the world in terms of, its very intense globalization, a globalization that carries huge opportunities but also has inherent risks, which must be addressed by like-minded countries, comfortable countries, getting together and doing more with each other, and looking to see where we have capacities that complement each other. And the responsibility of the governments obviously is to be supported, is to create wherever possible the facilitative mechanisms. I know, for example, what I heard again in the last 2 days was inadequate air connectivity between our countries. I think it's a reasonable business demand, which we will have to find ways of addressing better. It's a responsibility of governments also to see where there are regulatory impediments. If there are, let us say in the pharmaceutical sector, registration procedures which are unnecessarily cumbersome, or in the energy field, again, specifications which are in some way not sufficiently friendly to industry. I think it is important for us to address that. And my last point, I do feel that in a world which is moving towards a more knowledge-driven economy, the importance of human talent and skill, the weightage of that in the overall calculation will grow. And we are already seeing a mismatch between where there is demand for talent and where there is availability of talent. We are also seeing a gap between the existence of talent and its coming up to its deployable level. So here we see international education and the preparation of a global workforce as something which offers a meeting point between India and Egypt. I was very pleased to learn that we already have at least one university from India which has agreed to set up a collaborative venture here. I'm very hopeful that we will get a few more, including some of our more prestigious technology institutions. So my message to you today is not just that India is open to business, but that India is specifically focused on working with Egypt to find uh, to see what difference we can make to our mutual benefit in the region at a global level. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that subject. We are at the moment, I can only share with you that because this is not a universal situation. After the COVID, not everybody has recovered to the same degree. Some countries, some economies, some people are perhaps a little more optimistic, some perhaps a little more cautious. We are at the more optimistic end of the spectrum. So there is a great appetite for doing business, not just at home, but going abroad. So that is the message that I bring to you. I am once again very, very grateful for the opportunity to hear all of you, and I thank you for being here.